Sweet. So thank you everyone for joining our virtual panel today. Before we get started, I just want to take a few moments to thank everyone for tuning in and watching our virtual visit, especially because of everything happening in the world right now. We as a community want you to know that we do acknowledge and recognize the challenges and pains stemming from everything currently going on. I wanted to invite you to, at the end of our virtual panel, to read our Chancellor's message about standing together, more at news.berkeley.edu. And you can learn how we as a community are responding. So again, thank you all for being here. And we'll get started with our virtual panel today with some housekeeping first. So this is a 1-hour panel with a Q&A. We do have the chat disabled, but feel free to utilize the Q&A function below to ask us questions. And if you do need more information at the end of our virtual panel, feel free to visit our website, visit.berkeley.edu, or you can always email tour@berkeley.edu, where one of us campus ambassadors will answer your questions. So let's get started. So I'll be today's moderator, and I'll be the person asking questions. My name is Jonathan. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm from Daly City, California. I'm a rising junior majoring in public health, and some other things I'm involved in on campus are FPF ambassador, which is a fall program for freshmen. I'm also part of the suitcase clinic where I teach decal, and I'm also an officer there, and I'm part of the American Red Cross. So I do some volunteering here and there. And now we'll hand it off to our panelists for today.
Saludos, my name is Andrés. I am from Fontana, California, adjacent to Los Angeles, not inside of it at all. I am a rising sophomore, actually, so I'll be going into I just finished my first year at Cal, and my majors are political science and Spanish, so there's a lot of reading involved in that. Some of my involvement, I'm in Hermanos Unidos, which is a student org for Latinx identifying students, but it's open to the entire community at Cal too, just to learn and be involved in the community. And some other groups that do help the community in different aspects, whether it's the Latinx community or LGBT. Welcome.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Mo. I use the she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm from Tokyo, Japan. I'm a rising sophomore, so I just finished my freshman year, and I'm majoring in conservation and resource studies, and I'm also minoring in food systems and just as like a data visualization minor. And in terms of my involvements on campus, I'm in a environmental fraternity. I'm involved in a lot of student farming and gardening initiatives on campus. I'm also part of the International Students Association because, like I said, I'm from Japan. And I also work at the Berkeley Food Institute.
Hi everyone, my name is Elsa. I use the she, her pronouns. I'm tuning in from Pasadena, California right now, which is where I'm from. I'm a recent graduate of the class of 2020. I majored in political science and Spanish, much like Andrés. Some of the few things that I was involved with as a student at Berkeley, besides being a campus ambassador, is undergraduate research. I studied abroad twice in Spain and Chile. I also mentored through an organization called Project Smile at the local Berkeley middle schools, and I was a member of Greek Life. Welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Isha. I am a rising junior at Berkeley. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. I'm studying bioengineering with a minor in public policy and a certificate in design innovation. I'm also on the pre-med track, so I'll be able to answer questions about that. In terms of my involvement on campus, I'm a resident assistant in the dorms, so I help first-year students transition into the dorms. I'm also a researcher at a UCSF medicine lab through the same program as Elsa through URAP. I am a Fung Fellow for Healthcare and Technology, where I get to work with professors and startups to find innovative solutions to healthcare problems, and I'm part of the Society of Women Engineers. And welcome.
So these are our panelists today, and we'll get started with our first question. So our first question is for Isha and Mo. What are your out-of-state experiences like?
For sure, I'll go ahead and answer that. So I think coming in as an international student, this was a really big decision to make. I moved 4,000 kilometers away, and overall, I would say that my experience being out of state, I never felt out of place. Berkeley is a place where I always meet people from so many different countries, areas, and I'm able to find people, no matter where they're from, people that I can resonate with and connect with. And I think a really good way where this happened is through Golden Bear orientation. So in the first week of school, before classes start, all freshmen and transfer students are put into groups and kind of welcomed to the school by an older member of the community. And you get to meet a lot of new people, explore the Bay Area. And I met a lot of people through that, and that really solidified my experience going forward.
Adding on to that reference to Golden Bear orientation, and some of the resources that the Berkeley International Office tries to offer to help transition us is there's an international student orientation that specifically talks about logistics of visas, what we need to do whenever we travel, and they're also just super experienced with all the forms and just logistical things that can be really daunting, and especially with all the corona and recent political changes, it is really complicated, but the Berkeley International Office is really used to all the problems. I'd also just say that there is kind of a culture shock because most of the students are from California, and when they introduce themselves, they'll say a specific town or just really specific references to California, but everyone's really understanding that not everyone is from California, and they're really open to hearing where you're from and where you've traveled. And I'd just say that a lot of people at UC Berkeley are really curious about the world overall, so there's a lot of good conversation to be made there.
Sweet, thank you. So moving on to our next question. This is for Andrés. So what was your freshman experience like? And do you have any recommendations for the best places to hang out or study on campus?
Yeah, totally. So my freshman experience was a very unique one, I'd say. As to the fact that my first semester was on campus and the second semester did transition to online. But from what what was able to really gather from that is that you do stumble and you do make mistakes, but you learn from those mistakes, and you're surrounded by people at Cal who support you to learn and grow from those trips that you might make once in a while. And as for having study spaces, I feel the best study space is that one study space that you don't tell everyone else about because it's yours. But some other places that are really amazing to just be at and have those interactions with other students where you're able to learn in a better place are definitely the libraries. You can either choose from Cresby Library, which is very much an active space where you're socializing with a lot of different people, or you can go to Doe Library or Main Stacks and have that nice quiet space, and everything's different for everyone else. For me personally, I do like a little bit more of an open air area, so Doe Library or even just outside. That's pretty much the best study space for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely remember my freshman year too. I had similar experiences of finding little nice spots on campus where there's libraries, or it's the underground library. Main Stacks is also pretty cool. There are a ton of places on campus though. So moving on to our next question. This is for Elsa. What is there to do off campus, in the city of Berkeley?
I love this question just because the city of Berkeley is one of the major reasons I chose to come to UC Berkeley. I really fell in love with the surrounding area. So I like to think of Berkeley as a mix between a small town and a big city, just because it's a medium-sized city, it's still an urban environment, but you really have aspects of both. So you have all the resources at your disposal of a big city. You've got stores, convenience stores, entertainment. We have the Greek Theater in our backyard, which hosts real live music acts that you might be interested yourself. I mean, I went to see Hozier there, Herbie Hancock too, for the older generation. But yeah, all kinds of different fun things to do in the Berkeley area. But at the same time, it has the feel of a small town. So the business owners, you have typically family-run restaurants, small boutiques. I feel like many of the employees know me by name. I mean, you find your spot and you become a local. The other thing that I'll say is that the campus was one of the first things to arrive in this area in 1868, which meant that the neighborhood grew around us. And that means we maintain an excellent relationship with our neighbors. You'll often see them walking their dogs or bringing their families to campus. They participate in some of our events like Cal Day. So I really think that Berkeley offers it all. And then in terms of weather, we've really got the best weather in the entire Bay Area, in the East Bay. It's always moderate. If there's fog in the morning, it burns off by the afternoon. We also have the best views. We're looking west towards San Francisco and the ocean, and we're on a hill. So we really have the best sunsets. I can go on and on and on about the city of Berkeley. It's really the best place to be, but I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree, like the weather, like the surrounding area, or I already know like a few locals that live around, or they always bring their dogs on campus. And you'll see like a lot of families and kids too, just like around the Berkeley campus in general, besides college students, of course. But yeah, so our next question now is for everyone actually. What was it like to learn over Zoom, and how did the transition go from in-person classes to online learning? Anyone can feel free to tackle this first.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go ahead. This is a really important question because of sort of the unpredictability of what our next semester is going to look like. But I want to say, I think I've had a very surprisingly positive experience learning online. And that's because I found myself being a lot more productive and able to manage my time better in the things that I wanted to do. For instance, a lot of classes are run asynchronously online, which means that you can watch them at your own time. So that requires a little bit of independence, but also gives me room to adjust my schedule with the research work that I'm doing or the fellowship that I'm part of. And another thing is that I was a little nervous going in because I am a bioengineering student, and a lot of engineering and STEM-based classes have lab components, which are really meant to be hands-on, smaller sections. And I'm taking a lab class this summer, but I've been able to transition it really well, and I think that our academic departments at Berkeley have done a very good job of making sure that we have the same level of academics provided even online as it is in person. So I'm definitely learning the same content. I still feel successful and confident in what I'm learning. And frankly, I have more opportunities to reach out to professors and get some more one-on-one experience too.
Thank you. And anyone else?
I can go next. I was in a unique position because I was in my last semester at Berkeley. So initially I felt really bummed about the abrupt transition to online learning. But then I found that I was actually in kind of an ideal spot. Most of my classes were under 15 people in my last semester. Actually, most of my classes were in real time, unless the professor reached out to all the students to make sure there were no time zone issues. But it worked out in which we could tune in real time, have these small group discussions over Zoom. And I felt like the professors took on an enormous task, and they did it really efficiently and very well. They learned how to, even my 7-year-old law professor learned how to utilize Zoom in order to put us in small breakout rooms and really mimic the way that class was run in person and bring that to Zoom. So I really felt grateful for some of my professors, but I will say that I was enrolled in a very large class also, and that's not very typical of a graduating senior, but I took Robert Reich's Wealth and Poverty class, which enrolls something like 800 students, and it's generally in our largest lecture hall. So that I was a little bit worried about, but the entire team of graduate student instructors, as well as the professor himself, made an excellent transition and did the same thing, real-time discussions, but recorded for students to watch afterwards in case they couldn't tune in real time. Our discussion sections were still held, and they made a real effort to get us to engage. So I have the advantage of not having to learn by Zoom next semester, but I am very hopeful that they'll carry those lessons on to the next semester.
Yeah, I think you two just pretty much covered it. I would just say, like, it's so easy. It's so much easier to like make your schedule more flexible and accommodate other people and make more meetings and just get more project work done. My graduate student instructors still held office hours, or they were just really open to booking appointments. So it's still really easy to connect with people and just get the help that you would like, or just chat with folks. And so I think in that sense, it was easier to connect with people. One thing that's like looking forward is that there was a class that I wanted to take, but it had a concurring lecture time with one of my other classes. But since the class is going to be pre-recorded, it's actually, I'm still in the process of it, but pretty much like I can actually take the class because it's already pre-recorded. So there is kind of a pro in us going online and having all the material available online. Like that has a pro of that, like you can still take a class even if it's concurring times, which normally wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, and just to add on to it at the very, very end, very much, they covered it amazingly, like how there's a lot of flexibility and having a lot of professors that are very reasonable and flexible with a lot of the work, et cetera, et cetera. But I would also say it is very important to create a structure for yourself, because I know for at least myself, like I found some times when I was just laying in bed more than I should have been like writing essays, and it's really comfortable, but at the same time, you still got to make sure that you're keeping track with that coursework.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely think Zoom's a different experience, but we definitely are making the best of it. So moving on to our next question, one of our attendees, Brianna, asks, I'm interested in double majoring in political science, and I'm wondering if you can describe your experiences with these majors. So both you, Elsa and Andrés, can answer this question.
Yeah, I'll go first, and then Andrés, you can add on to it. That's such a funny question because I've never gotten that question before. I will just say that it was not my intention to do this double major. I went into UC Berkeley thinking I might study maybe political science, but I was mostly interested in international relations. And then I grew up speaking French, so I wanted to make sure, and I learned Spanish in high school, and I wanted to make sure I kept up with that. And so I started taking a Spanish class per semester. I went abroad to Madrid, and at that point, it just was going to work out that I was able to fit in a second major. And so a little bit on double majoring, I think there have been a few questions about that. I think that it is entirely possible, but you're going to want to make sure that you sit down and establish a 4-year plan from the very beginning. And that means visiting advisors, both your college advisor, who is your general advisor, who's there for your big picture questions. Should I double major at all? What should I major in? And then the major specific advisors who are honestly your best friends, because you can see them as early as you want, as a first semester freshman if you want. You don't have to be declared in the major. The poli-sci advisors, Andrés, I don't know what your experience is, but I love Suzanne and Efrat. Yeah, they're the best. They have drop-in advising hours, and then now over Zoom, they're always available through email. Anyway, they will help you establish that 4-year plan, determine whether or not it's possible, and then as a double major, you just go between those two advisors. And so, Andrés, maybe you can speak more specifically to this combination of double majoring, but I think it's entirely possible as long as you sit down early enough to plan.
Yeah, definitely. Like Elsa and I know we could talk about it for hours and hours. When we first met, it was like the first thing that we really bonded over. But at least from my own experience, when I applied to Cal, I really wanted to do something with government, and I knew political science was one route to do it. And I really, took off. And like Elsa said, I made a plan, and I was all like, oh, wow, after talking with some advisors, college advisors, but especially for me, EOP advisors, the Educational Opportunities Program advisors, that helped me map out a lot of my 4-year plan. As for double majoring with Spanish, I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household, not necessarily French, but I'll learn it eventually, Elsa, for you. So I really want to solidify that experience and that already home practice that I had for Spanish and turn it into another communication school and skill. And I'm also having a concentration within Spanish that I'm learning Portuguese as well, which is also a very useful, all languages are extremely useful in any kind of setting. So that was my own experience. And just like Elsa was talking about, the having like your department advisors, especially Emrat, ooh, love her, like an amazing, it's amazing to have people who are there to like support you and doing something that you really love and or something that's really like personal to you. As for like myself, you know, I didn't study abroad in Madrid or Chile. I went to go visit my grandparents in Mexico, but it's still having like those experiences in different settings that really like push you to continue doing what you love.
Thank you. So now this next question is for, could be for everyone. So one of our attendees, Pertul, asks, what's your favorite thing about UC Berkeley? And anyone can feel free to tackle this question.
For sure, I'll go ahead and start. My favorite thing about UC Berkeley is, the best way to describe it, I guess, is the intellectual diversity at the campus. And what I mean by that is every single day that I was on campus, I met new people and I was able to learn something from every person I met. And I know that will look a little bit different when things go remote, but I'm sure that Berkeley will do a good job to make even your home and online feel like you're on campus and still interacting with a lot of people. What I really mean by intellectual diversity is that every single person is not only successful in whatever they're majoring in, but they have so many other interests and passions that you can connect with them through. For instance, one of my closest friends, I'm a bioengineering major. They're in political science, similar to Elsa and Andrés. And we bonded over the fact that we both are trying to learn how to solve the Rubik's Cube, like fun things like that. So I think it's really cool to see how different people's experiences bring you all together. And Berkeley does a great job of having a diverse and an inclusive environment.
I completely agree. I was gonna say something similar, so I'll try to add a different point. I think one of my favorite things about Berkeley is the amount of resources there are. As Elsa mentioned, like there's academic advisors. These advisors are completely specialized in your major and they know everything about the requirements, study abroad, research, faculty who are interested in undergrads, like they just know everything about it and all the loopholes and whatever it may be. I also need references when it comes to things like for example, if you wanted to learn more about like personal finance and just like learning those adult skills, there's classes and workshops about that always going on, especially in the Student Life Center. There's just resources from tutoring, like even, so back to the finances workshop thing, like there is an Asian and Pacific Islander student development office, and so they will teach finance workshops that are specifically catered with the understanding that the student audience consists of Asian and Pacific Islander students. And so there's just a lot of consideration that goes into the education and resources that are provided, and that understanding and that diversity is really important, and that's what makes the big school feel small. And makes it's not just any finance class, like it's specific to who you are and the fact that there is an Asian and Pacific Islander community on campus. And so just all the consideration of diversity and just the different range of students that come to Berkeley, like that's all really considered, whether it be in a frat or a club or like student development resource. And so that's something that I really am grateful for.
I'm going to add on to Mo's answer just there, because you talked a lot about the resources, which is awesome. And I just want to say that what makes Berkeley unique is that we are a big school, but we are also one of the most elite institutions. Like that is the reason you should come to UC Berkeley. We offer it all. We are both focused on academics, but also the student experience and athletics. So nowhere else will you be able to find a school that has so much school spirit that's still a top elite institution. We love our football team. They're not always very successful, but you'll see all of our students attending the games and celebrating in their own ways. Everyone loves to wear Berkeley, Cal, UC Berkeley gear. And at the same time, you have the resources that a big school can offer to make it feel like a small school, which Mo touched on. So I have never given a tour in person where I have not run into at least 10 people along my route. And that is just kind of a daily part of my commute to class, just as I'm walking from my apartment to class. And it's what I miss the most about those final 10 weeks that went remote and we moved away from Berkeley was running into all the people that I knew. And that will happen naturally. It's daunting to go from a small school like I did. I had 35 people in my graduating class to a huge school like a public research institution like UC Berkeley, but your community immediately gets smaller because of those resources, because of the clubs, and you'll immediately feel like you know everyone there.
I definitely agree, especially on game days, which are some of my favorite days, to see the whole city of Berkeley bleed blue and gold, from like little kids, like alumni bringing little kids, to like older alumni, to shop owners, students. You'll see like everyone around wearing blue and gold. So it's really like a strong part of like the Berkeley community, especially with like the surrounding area itself. So thank you for all sharing about your favorite things about Berkeley. So our next question, Catherine asks, how do you develop strong relationships with your professors? And it's gonna be for Andrés.
Yeah, so Berkeley professors are really unique in that they actually want to do the best that they can for their students. I've been in many classes, some that don't even relate to my majors, that the professors are just there and they're like, I want you to at least understand my material and get to know, get to experience it. I was in a art and history of Islam class, and she was always there trying to make sure that we were talking and inviting us to office hours or taking us on field trips, and even just like those interactions that you have in class where you speak up and have that relationship where they know your name is really like beneficial because they're like, oh, I know this person. How else can I help out and reach out to them? I also had a professor who always had their door open, office hours open, trying to make sure that students were learning the material, but also not afraid to admit when they didn't know or were confused in different situations. Raul Coronado, one of the professors for the Ethnic Studies department, he took his students, including myself, out to lunch, which was really amazing because I always like it when I get free lunch. So even though just having like those close connections, going to office hours, speaking up, emailing is another really big one too, because as annoying as you might think in your own head that you might be, they're seeing it as like, oh, this person's interested in my class, they want to learn more, and that's an amazing thing to do.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely would suggest to take advantage of all the resources that we do have on campus, especially with office hours and your professors, because they're always like there to answer questions, help with problems. I've been to like a bunch also. So our next question is from Ramya. Ramya asks, how do you balance your time between classes and extracurricular activities? And how do you like balance all the opportunities that Berkeley has to offer that we've been speaking about so far?
That one's for me.
And for Elsa, yeah.
I think that's a great question. And I think it's something that all Berkeley students have to grapple with when they first come to campus. And I will say that there's different ways to go about it. And in my personal experience, I decided not to join anything my first semester. I was really overwhelmed, I think, by the amount of opportunities that were available. And I was meeting so many new people, and I was really focused on making sure I was excelling in my classes. So I decided to take my first semester easy, and I focused on meeting people, I focused on my classes. Sophomore year, I kind of overdid it, and I joined like 4 different things. So it's a balance that you have to find, and if it means taking a semester off or just slowly transitioning into school, that's an option. You can also just do it all towards the beginning and then pick and choose. So what's really great at UC Berkeley is that we have all of our opportunities kind of listed in one area, and that's the callink.berkeley.edu, I'm pretty sure, is where all of our 1,000 student clubs and organizations are listed. That might be a really important place to go now that things are going to be mostly online. But in in times where we're physically on campus, all of those clubs will be physically lined up on Sproul Plaza, and they'll be aggressively flyering you to get you to join their club. And it's actually a really exciting time. There's other opportunities like Calapalooza, where you can decide what clubs to join. Ultimately, when you decide what you join, it's important to find that balance. So maybe use one club as the social aspect. Maybe get a leadership position in another club. Campus ambassadors, for instance, this is the best job ever. And I decided this is as far as I want to go with this job. Give a tour a few times a week. Jonathan, for instance, is on leadership team. So he decided to take it a little bit further. In some of my other organizations, I decided to take on leadership roles. So in my mentoring organization, I became the president of that club. I stayed on for 3 years. And it was really important for me to really see it through until I graduated. Other things, I started and then I stopped. And there was a time, junior fall, where I felt like it was all very overwhelming, but that's only because I took on a little too much. So finding that balance is really appropriate, knowing that there are resources available to you within those clubs, but also at the larger university to help you find that balance, whether it be in counselors, advisors, your circle of friends, and other resources. Know that they're at your disposal and that they can help you make those decisions. I then went abroad. I dropped all my clubs and my organizations, and it allowed me the opportunity to reset. When I was abroad, I also joined a bunch of different organizations. So it ends up becoming a cycle, but find your balance. And when I came back as a senior, I had found the perfect balance of exactly the right number of organizations I wanted to be a part of for my last year at UC Berkeley. And I felt that I was fulfilled in that way. So that's the long answer to that question.
That was a great answer. I'd say I went down the option that you didn't go, that you briefly mentioned, of like just trying things out and then like filtering out the clubs that didn't really fit what you're looking for. So I also mentioned Calapalooza, like that's where people are flying, and a lot of people are flying specifically for like an info session. Not really sure how this will work in fall semester. I feel like some of them may do Zoom info sessions, but essentially like I would go to a bunch of different info sessions that complemented some interests, like environmental things or international student things or art things. And there you can gauge, like you can talk to the people who are in the club, and you can gauge whether like the club is something that's really starting fresh and the ball, like they're starting new projects, or if it's like an ongoing tradition and they already have a structure. Like it really depends on what you're looking for. I personally wanted to join a club where the ball was already rolling, and like projects were already starting, and it wasn't really like in an ideation stage. So I filtered through those clubs, figured out where the club was, which clubs was in the same like type of work mode that I wanted. And so like it's really, going to info sessions is like no commitment whatsoever. You could just slip in and out if like in the first 5 minutes you don't like it. Like you can really just try out clubs and then dip off the face of the earth and no one will question about it. And that's really great about how big Berkeley is, because then you can really just try out what you want and see what's right for you. And so yeah, there are definitely a few clubs where I'm like, oh, I've heard of it, went to the info session, didn't really complement my schedule, didn't really complement what I was interested in. And so that's totally fine. So I'd say just finding that balance is really easy when you take that into consideration and just try some things from the first moment. Yeah.
Pacing yourself is definitely important overall, whether you're doing academics, social life, or voluntary or extracurriculars. Like just pacing your own involvement, I would say is really important. I'm just adding on a little bit. So our next question is for Isha. And Abton asks, are there many joint research opportunities between UC Berkeley and UCSF in the bioengineering or medical field?
Okay, thank you. This is a really specific question, so I'll kind of start off by sharing my experience in doing research in the biomedical engineering field. So Berkeley is a research institution. There are tons of opportunities for you to get involved no matter what department, but we do have a very strong STEM and engineering research department that does a lot of incredible innovation and is taking a pretty big role even in finding new tools for the COVID pandemic. And I want to touch upon a program called URAP. It stands for the Undergraduate Research and Apprentice Program, and I'm sure someone can link it in the chat to the attendees. It's a really great program that is run by Berkeley and very unique to Berkeley. So in the start of every semester, all the professors and labs that are looking for undergraduate researchers send in their information to this database, and it's all listed from pretty much every department at Berkeley, and you can apply to 3 different departments. And it's kind of like they pick you, you pick them, you have an interview and so forth. And the best part about it is that you can get academic credit for doing this research. So I applied for the first time in my second semester of freshman year. That is a little bit earlier than I think most people would, but research was something I really wanted to get interested in. So I applied then, and I worked in a psychology and cognitive science lab where I studied how artificial intelligence impacts the cognitive development of children. So it was applying my bioengineering skills to something else. Now, the great part about URAP is that it also has an entire option and segment of UCSF positions that you can apply to. We're less than an hour away from UCSF's campus and their hospital, and I decided to apply to one of those positions in my second year, in my second semester. So I started the position last semester, and I'm currently working there full-time over the summer as well. And something very unique about the bioengineering program is that our master's degree is a joint degree between UCSF and Berkeley. So there's already that connection established between our department and their department. And so that's how I was able to get the position in the neurology department at their med school. And fingers crossed, I'll be hopefully getting published by the end of my junior year. We'll see. But I think it's a really great experience to get involved in research. But my biggest advice is to hold off for UCSF opportunities until second year, just so that you have more valuable technical experience from your classes that you can sort of represent yourself with that. So yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing your experience. I think you gave a really comprehensive answer. That was a lot. We learned a lot about the UCSF experience. Sweet. So our next question is from Catherine, and Catherine asks, what makes UC Berkeley different from the other UCs? So Elsa, feel free to tackle this question first.
Sure. The first thing I'll say is that we, as campus ambassadors at UC Berkeley, are experts in UC Berkeley. So we know the most about our own campus, and we love our campus the most. I'll preface my answer that way. But that doesn't mean that we don't know about the other UC campuses, and that doesn't mean that we don't love them. Our rival school is actually Stanford. So our more friendly rival is UCLA, but definitely on a lower bar than UCLA. We share many programs and resources with the UC system. So keep in mind that we have a president of the UC system, Janet Napolitano, who oversees the entire system. And so a lot of the communication that each UC campus we all get as well. And then we have a chancellor per campus. But for instance, our spring break is at the same time as all the different UCs. We share a study abroad program. That's the UC Education Abroad program, which means that all the UCs combined have established partnerships with universities abroad, which broadens our reach abroad and allows us to partner with a lot more, many more institutions in different countries. So there are many advantages to being a part of a UC system. And the thing that sets UC Berkeley apart is that we're the #1 public university in the world. We'll say it and we'll say it again. That's what sets us apart. But there are many similarities between the UC campuses. UCLA is a very similar campus in terms of size and feel, but is in a very different neighborhood. I'm from LA. The reason I didn't apply there was because I wanted to be further away from home. But I also know the surrounding area of Westwood, and you might recall my answer to the question about UC Berkeley's surrounding area. It's one of the main reasons that attracted me to UC Berkeley in the first place. We don't have to drive anywhere from campus to get to the main part of the city. We can just walk, we can use public transportation. I love the Bay Area. I'm a Bay Area transplant. I'll be working in San Francisco after this. Some of the other UC campuses don't have as big a school spirit in terms of athletics. That's something else to keep in mind. UCLA does, but other UC campuses may not have as large football teams or as much involvement in their athletics, which just means that there are less people attending maybe their sports games. But that's not to say that they don't have school spirit in and of themselves. I do think that UC Berkeley has the best location, has the best campus. We really offer it all. But if Andrés, you want to add on to that as a California native yourself.
Definitely, yeah. Well, being from the southern part of California, I definitely had like similar experiences when it comes to Elsa, like knowing a lot about like the geography of the state, and I do feel like that is a very important part when it comes to distinguishing the UCs, not just like the amazing academics and not just the opportunity to network with people from all around the world, but having like that central location where it really does like help you in so many different aspects. I personally live 10, 15 minutes away from the University of California, Riverside. And that the reason why I didn't choose to go to Riverside or Los Angeles, for at least myself, was because I saw Berkeley as being this place where you had people from all around the world, and the Bay Area being specifically one of the most like monumental areas when it comes to bringing new change makers and new methods of thought to the entire world, especially the United States. A lot of the civil rights movements, the free speech movement started in Berkeley, started in Oakland. San Francisco has one of the most reputable technology places around the world. And I feel like that in culmination with like the spirit of a Berkeley student of not just wanting to be like a brainiac, but also like trying to make a change within the world. You know, I know Isha, Mo, Elsa, they're all, it's not just I'm gonna get a degree and make a certain amount of money. It's all about like, how can I help my community? How can I come back? And I feel like that really does distinguish from like a different University of California school.
Thank you both for your answers. And I definitely agree with everything that both of you had said, especially about the community and the support that we have here and like the strength between like our professors or one another. It all speaks for itself. So next is our next question is from CosTub. And this person asks, is it difficult for out-of-state students to get used to the atmosphere at UC Berkeley and the Bay Area? Mo, feel free to tackle this question.
Yeah, I can start off, and I'm sure Isha can also join in, but I feel like it just definitely depends on where you're coming from in the world and what education system you came from, because as you may be able to hear, I attended American schools even though I lived in Singapore and London and Japan, so wherever I was in the world, I was always learning from Americans, and a lot of my peers were like the children of like American ambassadors, like that kind of environment. And so academically, learning from like a US public institution like that didn't really have such of like a culture shock or anything like that. I'd say the only like real differences that I felt from high school and from earlier is just that mostly everyone is truly from California, and they're just very knowledgeable about the state and very like, there's a lot of community conversations where people will connect over like being at the same track meet or like swimming at the same YMCA pool. There's just like a lot of community when it comes to people growing up in California and really loving it. But that's just something that you get to learn, and you get to hear more about life in California. And so that's just part of the experience of like studying abroad for 4 years or like being an international student. Another difference is that a lot of students can drive, and a lot of students will be able to drive back home for a weekend or like a short break. And so that's something that international students don't really get to take a part of. But there's still a lot of people on campus during those short breaks. Like it's not like there's no one there. And it's also nice to, a lot of times, like you will be able to go to your Californian friend's house or just go visit, and just they'll drive you around, and that's also really nice. So I'd say it truly is like US public institution in California. But that's just part of the learning that we experience, and that's kind of the reason that I came here. And so I hope that that's a positive, and that's like a reason that's a positive to UC Berkeley, and that I hope you are interested in that.
Yeah, and I'll add on really quick, just echoing what Mo said. I think one really great thing about Berkeley is that we are on a semester system instead of the quarter system that a lot of other UC schools are in. And an advantage of this is that we get a 5-week-long winter break. So even though you're not able to go back home, especially for international or even out of state during like the 1-week Thanksgiving break or 1-week March break, you will definitely have over a month at home during your winter break. And that's when I really reconnect with my family. I think that was the biggest adjustment I had to make, but because of the semester system scheduling, it was really easy for me to not miss home and still feel like I have enough time to be with my family.
Thank you. So moving on to our next question. So this question is for Isha again, and Amane asks, how is your experience as a bioengineering major as a pre-med major / path?
For sure. I think I want to start this off by saying I did a lot of research before figuring out what I wanted to apply in, like in terms of what programs I want to do. And even if you're unsure, I think it's very important to, research and find out information about all your paths, which you are doing right now by attending this panel. But for me, I always knew that I wanted to go into medicine, and that's something that I saw myself doing, but I equally liked innovation, design, and, including technology into healthcare and medicine. And so that's why I picked the bioengineering major. And some reasons why I specifically picked Berkeley Bioengineering is, one, it is in the top 10 ranked bioengineering programs in all of America. So I knew that even if med school didn't work out, I had a very strong backup plan to go into the biotech industry. And the second thing is that I reached out to my academic advisor for bioengineering before I came because I wanted to know more details. And we have the 3rd highest number of students sent to medical school from the bioengineering major. And so that really, which was a lot higher than other universities that I was debating between. And so that's what really drew me to bioengineering, because I think after the pandemic, the way the healthcare system functions is going to change, and innovation and technology will be critical to better healthcare. So that's kind of why I picked BioE as a pre-med major.
Thank you. So now moving on to our next question. How does Berkeley help to find jobs after you graduate? And are there resources for on-campus work or internships? Elsa?
Yeah, I'll briefly speak to that because I just graduated, and so I was really in the thick of the career search in the past few months. I did not visit the Career Center until I was a senior at UC Berkeley, and that is one of my biggest regrets. I don't know why I didn't, because as a campus ambassador, I'm pretty well versed in the resources we have on campus, but I highly recommend that to everyone, to all you tour guides listening there as well. The Career Center is there to help you. The Career Center advisors they're always on your side. You can schedule short-term appointments or longer appointments. So you can talk about anything from the big picture questions to specifically, can you edit my resume or this cover letter? I'm applying to a job. They do mock interviews. They even can put you in touch with different employers. They host the career fairs, definitely go to those. They host different kinds of talks. I think that was the most important resource at my disposal. The other thing that you should know is that no matter what major you're in, there's always going to be some sort of newsletter that is sent out by your advisors with opportunities, a roundup of opportunities that get sent to their departments. And so that's another great way to find internships and just to make connections in that sense. I ended up finding a job at the Department of Justice in San Francisco through a career fair on campus. So I went to a career fair organized by the Career Center. I brought my resume and I met somebody there. And I want to say I applied to something like 60 jobs. And the only ones that really worked out were where I had a connection, or I had already met somebody. And so it's really important to keep that in mind, that, you know, personal contact, or you're even emailing or setting up a phone conversation, which Berkeley can help you do. That's the most important part in securing an internship or a job, because just cold calling or just sending your resume without any follow-up is not going to work. So work with your advisors. They're there to help you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to one of our last question, and this is actually for everyone. And this question is, what is your Berkeley story, or why Berkeley? Feel free to tackle this in any order too.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead. My Berkeley story, as I previously mentioned, applying to the US and even coming to Berkeley was a very big decision I had to make. And it's pretty much trying to set up and figure out and hopefully live my life in the US after I graduate too. And so my Berkeley story started when I had an alumni from my high school who came to Berkeley in the engineering department, and I always saw his posts and talked to him about how much he loved the place. So I thought, let me look into it. And I think the minute that I fell in love with Berkeley was when I heard my tour guide for the tour that I was attending talk about how easily it was for them to not only find opportunities, but how easily it was for them to connect with their professors and be in an environment where everybody who is there really wants to be there and wants to make a difference and understands the larger impact of the education that they're receiving right now. So I think something to really keep in mind about Berkeley in itself is that it's a place where you will find excellence all around you. You will find people who are truly dedicated and passionate about every single thing that they do, whether it be faculty, your graduate professors, just staff in even our campus ambassador department and other students. I think it's really, really amazing to see that passion and drive not only motivate you, but also how you can motivate the people around yourself. So I definitely hope that you consider applying to Berkeley and want to come to Berkeley. And I think it was definitely the right choice for me.
I can go next on my Berkeley story. I actually didn't really plan on coming to Berkeley. I had committed to 2 other universities before coming to Berkeley. I had roommates, I had bought decor. It was all set, you know, but because of like some family circumstances at the very last minute, like I switched over to Berkeley. And the reason why Berkeley wasn't really on my radar was because there isn't an agriculture major. And I'm interested in like rural development and improving agricultural resources. And so that was the reason why I hadn't really deeply considered going to Berkeley. But like the moment that I realized that I was going to Berkeley, I reached out to my academic advisor and listed out my dreams and listed out what kind of impact I want to make. And she responded really quickly with like the food systems minor, all the opportunities on campus, student clubs, and just like even listing out folks that aren't necessarily, since there isn't an agriculture major, like they weren't majoring in agriculture, but folks that she knew were interested in the environmental science and policy management department. That was a mouthful. It's short for, in short, it's ESPM, but just like the environmental department on campus. And so that's just to show that even though it may not be on a website, it may not be found online, like people at Berkeley are multifaceted. They have so many different interests. They maybe do multiple research projects. You can look on the URAP research website that Isha was talking about, like professors will have multiple research projects under their name. And that just shows that people are really talented and actually pursue their multiple interests. And so I was able to find an agriculture community, a Berkeley student farming community, really connect with the folks that are interested in the problems of our food systems, as well as agriculture and making food more accessible. And I work a lot with the Basic Needs Center as well. And so this is all just to say that no matter what you are interested in, there is a community of people working for that same thing or interested in that same thing at Berkeley. And that just comes from the school being so big, but also filled with people who have multiple passions and actually do something about it. So that's really why I've never considered transferring out. I just have really found the people I'm looking for. I'm continuously finding more people on campus that are interested in what I am, and that's just really, really exciting. And so like Isha said, like coming to Berkeley is a big commitment, like paying international fees, coming all the way from Japan. I see my family once a year for 5 weeks, and that's a really big sacrifice, but all of that is kind of worth it because of the people that I've met, the conversations that I've had, and all that I've learned, which just isn't possible in my home country. So that's my why Berkeley, and I will pass it off to Elsa.
Mo, that was beautiful. I love listening to both of you and your Berkeley stories. It's really inspiring. My Berkeley story, yeah, let's see. I went to a very small high school, like I mentioned, 35 people in my graduating class. I actually went to an international school, but here in LA, so not internationally. And I was really seeking that same type of school. I was looking at smaller liberal arts private schools, mostly on the East Coast, because I was kind of enamored with the idea of leaving, of going somewhere further away. And I applied to one school on the West Coast, and that was UC Berkeley. Yeah, my mom was like, you have to apply to one school in California. And I was like, okay. And I never seriously considered it. I went on an entire, touring schools is so important, and hopefully we are able to convey the magic of our school virtually, but truly walking on each campus is so important to determining whether or not you see yourself there. So this is an important first step that you're taking right now. When I visited UC Berkeley, it was Cal Day. It was the best day of the year. It's kind of like our own 4th of July, but all things UC Berkeley. It's in April. It's for students. It's for prospective students. It's for family. It's for the neighbors. It's for professors and faculty. It's just a day-long celebration of Cal. And I was really surprised by the school spirit, by all the students wearing their Cal gear, by all the students very proud to rep the school that they went to. And then I started doing my research, and it just so happened that UC Berkeley was going to be the best school for me to study what I wanted to study, political science. I mean, it seems like that's a common theme for everyone whenever they want to study. UC Berkeley is in the top 10 of whatever department you're looking at. We're also the home of the free speech movement back in the 1960s when college campuses were participating in the civil rights movement, and Martin Luther King came to speak at UC Berkeley. Some truly inspirational things have gone on, and I started meeting the most incredible people. So I love hearing about Berkeley stories because it reminds me why I came here. And then I also fell in love with the surrounding area. So I couldn't see myself anywhere else by the end of the day. I will also say, if anyone's tuning in from Southern California, the Bay Area is very different. There's still a culture shock from moving from down here up here. So don't discount that if that's part of your reasoning in choosing your college. It's far enough away, and it's the best school ever. So I'll just hand it off to Andrés because we only have 1 minute left.
Yeah, I'll say that if listening to these amazing ambassadors, these amazing students doesn't move you to go to UC Berkeley, I don't think anything will. Like, they inspire me every single time that I see them or talk to them. So they're amazing. And my own Berkeley story, I feel like it's not just mine, but it's my family's pretty much, because my parents sacrificed a lot when they immigrated to the US, and my dad was the only one who got a high school degree. So I never really grew up in an environment where I thought I could go to a university, let alone one of the most prestigious universities in the entire world. So my twin brother and I, we were just like, you know what, let's just go through high school, let's go through everything and see what happens to us in life. But thankfully, you know, I got smacked in the head in the right way, where I was pushed and told, you know, put in that extra effort, put in that, like, you know, don't discount the sacrifices that your parents made, and try and shoot for the best that you can. So when I entered high school, I was able to, like, have that mindset. My brother and I, we were able to say, you know what, we're going to do the best that we can, and we're going to reach for the stars, and the stars might be giant balls of gas, but there's still something there. And so I applied to as many schools as I could. I tried to get as many applications out there to just see myself as not just this a Latinx student in an unrepresented area of academia, but also as a student from parents who had never had the experience and didn't know necessarily how to lead me, but I still had a good support system around some friends and some teachers. So I was pushed. Unlike a lot of Cal students, I didn't go to Cal Day. I actually went to Bruin Day, another UC's day. I went there, and let me tell you, I love some people that are friends that went to that school, but that tour wasn't for me. I flew actually the next day to Cal, and I stepped onto that damn campus, and I was all like, you know what? This is the school for me. This is the place where I see myself making change. I see myself going back to my own community and moving mountains for them. And let me just say, it's not only that I envision myself doing that, I know I'm doing that with every step that I take, with every network that I make, and surrounding myself with a group of people who have always been amazing to me is just, it continues to push me to not only do better at school, but also have my arms open and just support everyone else that comes to school. And that's my own, not our Berkeley story.
Thank you. I always love listening to everyone's Berkeley story. And that brings us to an end of our virtual panel today. Feel free to contact us and follow us on social media at Visit UC Berkeley on both Instagram and Twitter. If you had any questions that we did not get to, or you can also email tour@berkeley.edu, where one of us, campus ambassadors, will actually answer your questions. And you can also feel free to keep in touch with us through our Bear Talk blog, beartalk.berkeley.edu, where some of our other campus ambassadors also blog about their daily experiences, what it's like to be at Berkeley or anything like that. And we also have a regular virtual visit that's available on our website at visit.berkeley.edu. It's where you learn we provide more of a campus overview and a student perspective, whether it's about our colleges, our academics, or athletics, and everything like that. And lastly, a few more things. We are celebrating our 150 years of women at Berkeley. So you might see in our backgrounds, you have that banner, the 150W. It's a huge celebration, and our colleagues have put in a lot of work. So feel free to check that out at 150w.berkeley.edu. And also read last thing, also read our chancellor's message about standing together in today's time at news.berkeley.edu. And with that, I would like to end this virtual panel with a Go Bears on 3 from our panelists. 1, 2, 3. Go Bears.
Bears.
Thank you.
Thank you.